bells of the internet. My name is Adriana, and today I thought I would bring you a spoiler-free series review of the Blood of Eden Trilogy by Julie Kagawa. I very recently marathoned through this entire trilogy, and I had quite a few thoughts about it, and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I would share some of those thoughts with you today. First of all, I'm just going to tell you the two words that drew my attention to this series, and that is vampire dystopian. I know, right? But anyways, the Blood of Eden trilogy begins with the Immortal Rules, and this centers around a character named Allison Sekimoto. And the world that she lives in is kind of post-apocalyptic because it's a world in which a majority of the human race has been decimated by a disease called the red lung disease. And believe it or not, there are these communities that have arisen after this disease that are ruled by vampires. And basically, in order to have the privilege of being protected by these vampires in these enclosed communities, the humans who live in those cities kind of have to donate their blood to the ruling vampires. Allison is what's known as an unregistered, which means she does not have to donate her blood to the vampire who is the head of her city, but that also means that she lives kind of in the poorest outskirts of the city known as the Fringe. And that also basically means that she doesn't have the privilege of being given supplies or food. She really has to fend for herself. So she is a survivor first and foremost, and she's also part of this gang that kind of sticks together to help one another find food and find shelter. And one day when Allie and her gang are scavenging for food, she actually gets killed. But before she can actually die, there is a vampire who saves her and gives her the option to either die or be reborn as a vampire. And this is not a spoiler because it says so in the synopsis for the first book if you look that up, but Allison does decide to become a vampire, and then she is forced to flee the vampire city in which she has been born and raised. And the world beyond those walls is something that she is completely unfamiliar with, something she has no idea what to expect from. And she comes across this kind of ragtag band of humans who are looking for a safe place. So if she wants to survive, she has to hide herself among these humans and not let them know who or what she actually is. And then the book and the series progress from there. So let's talk about some of the general positive things that I thought about this series. First, I love the fact that Julie Kagawa kind of broke down vampires and kind of rebuilt them to be the way that she wanted them to function in this series. The second really great thing, which I think should be a selling point for anybody who is interested in this story, is that the protagonist is a female vampire of color. That is something so rare. That's something that I've never seen before, and I really liked that aspect of diversity within the plot. Continuing on that wavelength, the characters in this series were amazing. There are 4 prominent characters. I'm not going to tell you their names, but there are 4 of them, and they are all so well-rounded and complicated, and by the end of the series, I had really grown to love each and every single one of them. And I would definitely say that all of the characters have faults and they have flaws, but they also have strengths, and they also have things that they're learning about themselves and kind of coming to terms with as this series progresses, which is something that I really like to see. But what I love the most about this series is that it really gets you thinking, and that is huge for me. That is a huge thing that I look for in books. And this series really gives the audience so much to reflect on, so much to ponder, and there are so many difficult choices for the characters in this series. And the decisions that the characters have to make are so incredibly complicated that it's really a lose-lose situation, and then it becomes this really interesting moral conflict. And one of the most interesting aspects of the story is the dramatic irony in some of the conflicts that the characters are facing. This to me is by far the most fascinating interesting aspect of the story because obviously the humans in this world are living in a post-apocalyptic world that's been completely ravaged and kind of deserted, and humanity is definitely at its breaking point. So the societal norms have drastically changed and people have almost become monsters. They've almost become beasts themselves because they're fighting each other and they're scavenging for food, and they really have to become ruthless and develop this extremely tough skin if they want to survive. But on the flip side of the coin, some of the vampires in this series are assumed to be monsters because they're vampires, but they're desperately clinging to their humanity. So I find the fact that those roles are kind of reversed to be very interesting. And I really love the fact that even though this story literally is about vampires, the themes and the ideas go so far beyond that, and they're so relatable and they're just so universal. And by the end of the trilogy, the story really does talk about how vital self-acceptance is, and it also talks about the weight of choices and decisions and how those can shape our entire lives. Julie Kagawa really understood what vampire stories are really about. On the surface, there's the action and the drama and the vampires sucking blood out of humans and possibly forbidden love and all that kind of stuff. But beneath the surface is the really important foundation with all those relatable themes and universal ideas that can really apply to anybody. And I just really think that she understood the moral importance of vampire stories, and I think she did it really well. And let me just say that Julie Kagawa knows drama. Holy crap, a lot of things in this story are built upon anxiety and tension and suspense, and you have no idea how Allie is going to get out of any of the situations that she lands herself in, and it's just a really good quality read. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the Blood of Eden trilogy by Julie Kagawa. Was it perfect? I wouldn't say so, but I really loved this series, warts and all, flaws and triumphs, mistakes and successes. I thought it was just a really enjoyable series, and I'm really glad that I gave it a shot. And in case you were wondering, I gave the Immortal Rules 4 out of 5 stars, I gave the Eternity Cure 4 out of 5 stars as well, and I gave the Forever Song 4.5 out of 5 stars. So definitely let me know in the comments if you have read the Blood of Eden trilogy, and let me know what your opinions are. Let's get to discussing. And I'm super stoked about Julie Kagawa's new book that's coming out, I think, in October, which is called Talon, and it's about dragons, and my soul is ready. So that's all I have for this review, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the flip side of the page.